Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So I have a different kind of welcome to the family card today. We're going to do a pet one. So if you want to see how I made this one, then just keep watching. Alright, so to start off with, we need to cut out the letters to make the word welcome. So I've already gone ahead and cut them on white cardboard. These are 3 high and just stack them together. But now I'm going to do the black because I want to put it black on the top. So you guys would know this already. I'm a big fan of black and white. It's not my favourite combination, but it's very classic. It works for everything. And especially for pet cards, because a lot of dogs are black or white or a combination of the two. It's a really good one to use for that. So I always find that black and white works for pet cards. So I've just got my welcome, which is actually missing an E because I need 2 of them and I've only got 1. I'm just going to grab the die cutter in and just run this through and then get my E. And then we'll stick these down onto the stacked ones I've already got. We just do this to get a bit of dimension. It's easier and more solid than using foam tape. And because they're such small little bits, trying to do this with foam tape would be an absolute pain in the butt. So by cutting them a couple of times through cardboard, yes, it takes a little bit longer, but I think you get a really good result at the end. Just poke those through. Okay, just run the E through again. I haven't done that on purpose, but I've done that very well that I could now use this cardboard for something else as well. The other cool thing about cutting letters like this is that you do get to use a few of your scraps. I have been trying really hard wherever possible to use my scraps. I might be using a little bit more today. I haven't worked that out yet. Alright, so we'll pull these in and we get all our stacked ones. Now I just like to stick these down with glue. It's much easier. And then I just grab a acrylic block, get my words right. And I just stick them down on top. So you just put glue around the side. Tweezers are a godsend here. Now this is don't put glue on the wrong side. This is a bit of a, you can do it or you don't have to do it. Whoops. Alright, it'll still be fine. I like to flatten mine out with a scoring tool. All it does is it just means that you get rid of any of those little wrinkles that sometimes appear in a die cut. Not quite sure why they appear. I've never quite worked that out, but it is a good way to do it. So let's go ahead and stick all of these together and I'll be right back. So all of my letters are done. You can see a bit of the the white background through those. I'm going to wait and see how that looks, and if it doesn't look right when I've sort of got the whole thing ready to go, I'll just change that. So for the card itself, I want to do a bit of a background of some paw prints. So I'm grabbing just a bit of white cardboard. This is a bit of a scrap bit. I'm also grabbing my card base that I want to use so that I can sort of work my size out towards this. Got a mark on there. Thankfully I have lots and lots of those card bases, so it's not such a problem. So I'm just going to make this up. So it's going to be the size of the card. So I'm just looking, that piece of cardboard will be fine. I might actually end up trimming it just a little bit small because I have an idea to put a map around the outside. So I'm just going to mark a little bit bigger than what I want, and we'll just trim that off, and that way we've got the sort of piece that we need to do the background stamping of. Whoops. I did that a little bit too small, but that'll be fine. It's still bigger than it needs to be, so we're good. So I'm going to grab in, this is an old Avery Elle stamp set, and it's got these cute little paw prints. It's actually got 2 different sizes. I'm just going to use the big one for now. And this does take a little while, this technique, I'm not going to lie. It's using a very, very small image to make a big background. But because we really only need the outside of it, we don't have to do the whole thing. So I'm just going to grab in that piece of paper again. I just want to see which colour I like better. So I've got Hickory Smoke, which is a grey, and I also have Black Soot, which is obviously a black. And I think I'm going to use the grey just because it gives that little bit more contrast between the letters and then what will be the white of the paper. So I'm just going to, I was going to say wipe that off, but oh, I couldn't see it and then it popped up. Water-based, so it'll come off. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a wipe just so I don't get too much black. A bit won't hurt it. And then we're going to just start stamping this on. So like I said, we're going to work around the outside a little bit and deliberately coming off. You don't want to have too many in the same spot. You don't want to have too many going in the same direction. The cool thing with little images like this is that you can go upside down, you can go sideways. Using a little round block like this is actually really great because it's very easy to spin around, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be exactly even between the paw prints, or it doesn't need to look too deliberate. And then I'm just going to go around the outside and then just a little bit in on either side. So it's going to take a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this reasonable. I'm going to speed it up. The biggest thing is to remember to go off the page. Don't stay on the page as much as you're sort of tempted to do that. Make sure you come off because then it looks like it's a bit of pattern paper. There are two ways to do a mat, in my opinion. The first way is the very, very simple way, which is just stick another piece of cardboard down behind it. If you don't have that much cardboard, you can cut strips of this and stick it on the side. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to grab in the trimmer. So I just need to make it a little bit less high. That's the first thing. Here we go. And then just a little bit less wide. Now, you could measure this. You guys know me by now. I don't tend to measure things. I tend to use my eye to see if it works or not. If it doesn't, if I've messed this up, well, that's on me. Most of the time I find this works pretty well. So there's our main panel. Don't worry, there's going to be something in the middle there that'll cover that up. And then rather than using, I do want to show you guys the strip technique, but at the same time, because they are going to be such little strips, I'm actually just contemplating just putting it down and cutting it off. And I do have this scrap, which is the exact right size. So you can do the strips. The strips look really awesome, actually. But if I really want to do a really skinny mat, and I have a feeling that I'm not going to get them quite straight enough if I do that. So I am going to just do it the normal way. But you can do the strips. You just need a really, really good trimmer, which unfortunately, my Kaisercraft one is fantastic. Do not get me wrong, I love it. I'm very happy with it. It's not so great at the really, really skinny lines. And I am working on something to to add to it so that it does have I do have the ability to cut really, really straight, skinny bits of paper. So I'm just going to stick that down. I know I put that in some weird spots, but I do have it in the exact right spot on the top, which means then I can cut around and make sure that it's completely square. Well, hopefully. Go. I always just line it up with the protector just to see if it does look straight, and then just trim. And that way you can kind of be forewarned before you get there that no, this isn't going to be right. There's nothing worse than pulling it out and it not being what you want it to be. It's annoying. So you've got your background panel. Very, very simple, very, very easy. Now we can start on actually doing the sentiment. So just to add a little bit of extra something, I'm going to grab in, this is actually a die out of the Flippin' Awesome add-on from Lawn Fawn. And I want to cut this little border piece. I'm just going to do it off camera just so I don't have to move my die cutter back in. There we go. I just really like this scalloped kind of background. And it'll certainly add something to this. There we go. So it'll sit, come on, just there like that. Oh, that looks so good. And then we'll just get the other bit that's in here, which is the square. And this is going to be where we put down the actual welcome words that we've got. So again, just cut this out really quick. There we go. That actually might be too small. We'll soon find out. So I'm just going to put the welcome down. I'm not doing this with any paper, any glue. I'm just putting them down, seeing what they look like. I think it will be too small. If that's the case, I'll just cut it with another stitched rectangle. I've got plenty of them. Whoops, can't spell apparently. Just going to grab my stitched rectangles, and this is the second smallest of the small ones, which is going to be too small. So we're going to go up a size. So go into the, sorry, that was the second smallest of the large ones. This is the second largest of the small ones. I actually think that's going to be too small too. That's the same, well, very similar. And if this doesn't work, I have another idea. So I'm just going to use this as a base for a second so I can make sure I get my sizings right. So this one here, I always try to use my mat for measurements, and it's not that it's not good for it, it's just that it doesn't, the centimeters is a little bit harder to use, so I tend to lean towards using a ruler. So this is 11.5 by 7. So I'm going to cut a bit of cardboard, just plain white cardboard, nothing fancy. So 7 by 11.5. So I'm going to cut it to 6 by 10.5. So that's bigger than the one we had before. And then because I don't have a stitch rectangle to kind of do that, and you don't need to do this next bit, this is just me again being a bit over the top. Just going to grab in my stitched borders. I'm actually going to grab the little cross stitch one. And the way I set these up is I find the little corner of my mat. This is where the lines on here are fantastic. And I just push it up just a little bit. Grab then the stitching, put it right on the edge and stick it down. And then going to run that through the die machine. Now these ones don't cut, all they do is they just add in the details. So it's a slightly different kind of die set, but I love the way that ends up looking. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the bottom, and then I'll decide if I want to go down the sides. I don't know if I do yet. I kind of like it just like that, like without the bits on the edge, but we'll just wait and see. So we'll just put the welcome back in. Fuzzy bits on the side of my dies. Now I don't think I've done the best job at putting these together. They're a little bit off kilter. I actually think that's okay, and I'm not going to, I was sort of thinking I might put Copics, this is going to be too small too, I think. I was going to colour it in with Copics like on the background, just to get them all to be straight. Sorry, I was going to colour the background in with Copic so that they all look black. I've decided not to do it because it's on a white background anyway. It actually works really fine. So I find the easiest way to get these straight, I grab my little ruler that sits on the edge of my mat and I just line them up on that. once I'm sure that's the right spacing and everything, just push it up a little bit with my ruler. That way it makes sure it's straight. Washi tape. Take off a bit of the stick because you really don't want this to pull off the top bit. Not once you've gone through all the hard work of doing this. Straight down on the line, and now that's going to be straight. So I don't have to worry about that now. So if I pull this in and put that down, it's exactly going to be in a straight line, so I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, good thing we're not doing the stitching down the side because it definitely wouldn't fit. So to glue this down, I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to stick this down to my mat so it doesn't go anywhere. And then just the glue all over the white. Don't need to use too much glue here. I find a little bit goes a long way with most liquid glues. There we go, so you've got them all on the line. Got to make sure this sits straight. Yeah. Just lining that up. Once I'm happy, stick it down. This is where you get that acrylic block back in again. And leave that there for probably 2 to 3 minutes before you start actually pulling everything apart. Alright, so once I've left that there for a little bit, you can pull this off. Now, the slower you can pull this washi off, the better, because you don't want it to pull. So go slowly, go a little bit at a time, and there you go. Easy squeezy. This card in particular is for my good friend Trish, who recently welcomed a little puppy named Tilly into her family. So I actually want to put Tilly's name on the front of the card. So this is Milo's ABCs, and I just think this would be the perfect sort of shape for Tilly. So grabbing my little block and just spelling out Tilly. Now the good thing about these alphabet dies is that there's more than one letter. So you don't have to do the L's separately, which is nice. Just line those up. And they're really thinly cut, so they're very easy to space out on your block. I'm actually thinking that this might be too small. The Tilly might not be big enough. So I always have a bit of scrap around here anyway, so I'll stamp it out and check first. Because as with any alphabets, if you're stamping with them, I always, like if you're stamping with the word for the first time, I always suggest doing it on a scrap bit first so you can see if you like the way it looks or if it looks not straight or anything. See, I think that's too small. Alright, so I think that's too small, so we'll try with another ABC set. So I'm just going to grab out Claire's, put these back first. Exactly the same, we're just going to line this up on the block. Alright, last try. I have one more set of ABC stamps that I can try. So I borrowed these all from Denise because Denise is awesome and lets me borrow her stamps, but I think these ones are going to be too big. So these are Quinn's ABCs. These ones don't come with 2 letters. See, I think, yeah, that's going to be too big. I don't even need to stamp that out to know that's going to be too big. Alright, so I prefer using these kind of stamps because they are a little bit easier to work with. If I don't have what I want, this is when I go digging through my collection. Let's see what I can find. Alright, I have these. I'm pretty sure these are Kaisercraft. I'm just going to see. These are the right size, but they're not as easily spaced out. They do work, but... And I think... Actually, I don't think they are Kaisercraft. I have a feeling these might be a set that I got from Aldi. I knew I had another Elle in this somewhere, so just had to go and find it. Alright, let's try this. Try this one. Now this isn't going to be, I don't think that'll look as good because they're not the same quality plastic. see that it just doesn't quite give me the same look. Alright, my very last attempt, and I don't know if this is going to work either. So this is Owen's ABCs. These ones are mine. I don't tend to use them because they are the circle, so they give you a very different look. But we've gone very shapey with most of what we're doing here, so maybe it'll work. So spell this one out again. Now this one's going to be a little bit different because I've only got one L. I know I've only got one L. Couldn't find the T. So the trick is you put down another letter. So you do the T-I-L, line this up, and then you put in another letter where the second L is supposed to be. So in this case, I'm just going to put my K down, and then the Y, and then you remove the K. So that spot is the exact right size for the L to go in. Pick it up. Alright, I am going to use these. I'm going to use the only thing I'm doing, I have decided I don't want to stamp straight down on it. I know I'm being very indecisive. But these ones, Owen's comes with little circle dies. So I'm going to cut out 5 of these. I'm actually going to cut out all 6. So I've got a spare one if I break one. I'm just going to use a bit of that scrap cardboard that we've got hanging around. Stamp these out one at a time instead of on the line. Now I'm not very good at this. I tend to miss a lot, which is why I cut out an extra circle. The reason we do this is then we can push them a little bit closer together. So I'm just going to give this a go. Stamp all of them out. So I just stamped an extra L because I didn't like that L. Now looking at it, that probably wouldn't be as bad, but anyway. So we've got the Tilly. I don't know why that looks better to me, it just does. So grab a little bit of tape again. Get the tackiness off. This is my preferred way to put all lettered dies or stamps down. I just find it gives me the straight line a little bit more often. Pants for a second while we get the ruler in. Set those down. Make sure they're all around the right way. Make sure the spacing's right. For these kind of ones, I grab it either at the top or the bottom as opposed to straight down the middle, and that's just so you've got some room to kind of see where it's going to sit. There, so a little bit of glue on the back of all of these. Could put these up on foam tape too, but because we've already got the dimension with the welcome, I feel like I don't need it. I'll get that block in again. Acrylic blocks are good for so much more than just stamping. Alright. Well, that was a journey and a half, wasn't it, to get that right? But oh well, we got there in the end. I'll peel that white off. Sorry, that washi off. I don't think I've left this long enough. Can always tell. No, it might be okay. Just go slowly, no rush. There we go. So there you go. Welcome, Tilly. Aw, Tilly. This is where I might add just a little bit more. No. So I may add some dimension behind the black one. I love dimension. Dimension and I are just real. It's so cool to add just a little bit of height. I think I've been watching too many Jennifer Maguire videos recently because that's her thing. She likes to add dimension to everything, and I'm well and truly on that train. It's just a couple of little speckles that I can see, so I'm just tidying them up. And then we'll put this down. Try and get that as square as we can. go. Get that block back in just to hold that down. And then I've got a little bit of a trick for you. So instead of using foam tape, which would work and would be fine, I'm going to use some fun foam. This is just foam that you get from the kids craft department at either Kmart or I think I can get them at Big W. And I'm just going to add this behind it. So what this does is instead of being the foam adhesive on the back, this gives it a little bit more strength. There's no holes in the middle of it, so it just doesn't, I find it doesn't fall apart quite as easily or get as squashed. So lots and lots of glue. Need to clean my glue. I'm going to cut another little bit in a second because it's not wide enough. But you can use little scraps for this. It doesn't, no one's going to see it, so it's not a big deal. You can use double-sided tape for this as well, but I find that glue tape doesn't work quite as well, so I don't use my glue dots with this one. And then we just stick this down on here, and you can see just that little bit of dimension just adds so much. I love the look of it. So a little bit of glue, alright, a lot of glue. Flip this over and line it up. And again, something heavy. Grab, it doesn't have to be an acrylic block. This is my favourite one for using, but either or will be fine. Leave that for a second just to dry, and then we're going to grab, we're going to put the actual card together. Alright, so I've left that for a couple of minutes. So now all we do is just mount this up on the card. This is where glue tape is fine. The only reason that I'm not going to use it is because it has got so much dimension there. It's a little bit difficult to get the glue on it. So I'm just going to use double-sided tape. Can use glue tape, liquid glue, that's not a problem. I don't have a lot left. I'm getting some more very soon, but I don't have a lot left at the moment, so I'm trying to be a little bit careful with it. And plus I have all this damn double-sided tape, I might as well use it. So I like to do 4 stripes. Make sure you put some in the middle. Go. And then just peel that paper up. This is why I don't use double-sided tape, because I'm really bad at getting the paper up. And there you have it. Now it's a little bit bulky. There's a little bit of bulk to that, but I just love it. I think it's really classic, and it works. It works for these kind of cards, like for the welcomes. It also works really well for your pet sympathies, to just put the dog paws around the side and just have I'm sorry or goodbye old friend or something similar to that. That does work. You don't have to personalize it to have like the tilly on the front, but if you want to, that's obviously an option. You can just have thank you, or you can have just a banner that just says goodbye or something like that. You know what I'm talking about. So there we go, a very simple kind of welcome to a puppy. You could also, this is a side note, you could use this for babies as well. You could just do little baby images around the outside. There's your little welcome baby instead of welcome Tilly. You could do that too. Very simple technique to just use a simple stamp around the outside and then build it up with borders and mats. It looks really cool and is really classic. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to be subscribed to my channel for different kinds of card making videos. Let me know what kind of cards you'd like to see, because obviously birthday cards are really normal, but pet sympathy cards or welcome pets or things like that, probably not as normal. So if you want to see more of those, let me know. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, whatever you get up to, and I'll see you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!